Good morning, everyone. It's Cynthia with your daily tarot card of the day. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I'm going to take a moment and tune into my spirit guides and the collective energy of the day today. Spirit messages for the highest and best of the collective of today's energy. And I ask that that you also tune into your own intuition, your own higher self, spirit guides, so that when the card shows up, you might receive your own personal insights and messages. That being said, these messages are timeless. Whenever you happened to click on this video, you're inspired to watch. There's likely a message here for you. But again, tune into your own intuition, take what resonates and leave the rest behind. I'm bringing through general collective energy messages from Spirit. And it might not align with everyone, which is okay. If it's not for you, leave it behind. If you feel drawn to the card, pause the video or take a screenshot of the card, do your own meditation, and see what messages that Spirit has for you with the card that appears. One more shuffle and then cut the deck. Yes, thank you. Alrighty. Let's see what we have today. Thank you, Spirit. Oh, Queen of Swords, indeed. This tarot deck that we're using this week is the Tarot of the Sephiroth, and I have information about that in the description box below. And today's card, we have the Queen of Swords. With that beautiful Libra energy there. Oh, and Virgo. So it's also bringing to mind for me the Justice card and, of course, the Three of Swords. So, like, the way she's holding this one is reminding me of the Justice card. And with the two on her throne, the one she's holding and that storm in the background, it's kind of reminding me of like the Rider-Waite Three of Swords, where there's those three crossing swords and there's a storm in the background. But this Libra Virgo energy is lovely because it's bringing in this need to sort of center yourself and ground yourself. You have air and earth. So centering yourself in terms of the air and the balance scales, whether that be balancing your inner monologue and your external communications with others, or whether that be just being able to see multiple sides or multiple avenues in a situation or within a group. But with the Virgo energy, it's also talking about like being grounded and being practical and, you know, knowing where that line is. And it's not about telling other people to not cross the line. It's about balancing yourself internally, mentally and emotionally, spiritually, and then acting that in body. By being that centered, grounded, because that's where the clarity comes from. That's where the inspiration of the Queen of Swords come from. So not only is she balancing her masculine and feminine using her intuition and her intellect, but at the same time, with both the Goddess of Justice and the Virgin energy of Virgo, that purity aspect, it's about putting herself in alignment so that within a particular situation, not only does she know where her boundaries are so she can respond to whatever is beyond her, or whatever she's connected to, or whatever might challenge her boundaries, from that centered place. So she's not going to, act out of, she's not going to react. She's going to interact, if that makes sense. And it's about her energy being able to recognize, again, I keep getting that Libran, like seeing all sides, because then there's something about processing like an information or an inspiration or an idea. It's not just feedback from others, although that's put into the mix, but it's about being able to process sort of the big picture and the whole thing. This is very much of like a leadership card. So I don't know if today's energy has some kind of like a big meeting on hand, or like I feel like there's this queen energy is talking to a group of people or is managing a situation. Could be between herself and another person. Again, if somebody crosses a boundary with us, it's not whether or not they cross the boundary. It's about how we respond to that. What measuring stick do we use to say, you do this and that I do this? You know what I mean? Kind of a thing, so that we can actually maintain balance and that we can maintain a certain sense of integrity from within, without necessarily imposing our will on the will of another. It doesn't really matter whether or not they're right or wrong. If they do a thing, it's how we respond to it in order that they don't do it again, or in order that they know where we stand, and that should they ever have an opportunity to do same thing again in the future, that this is what's going to happen, or this is how it will always be responded to in this fashion. So there seems to be this leadership quality, but it comes from a level of, centeredness and groundedness and self-mastery. And again, balancing the masculine and the feminine. I really feel like we're using our whole brain here. I feel like we're using both our intellect, in a very, real present moment kind of a way, as well as our intuition, in terms of, again, being able to trust, what comes up and what is true for us in our response, right? It's not just, I feel angry and then in that moment, and then I spit out, whatever words, right? Because that communication like that often fails, or only has temporary results, right? And that can knock us off center, because it engages more of an interaction where we're in a position where we no longer want interaction. So, our anger comes up and our intuition says, this isn't right and this is what we should do about it. And having our intellect being able to strategize, okay, so in a very calm fashion, how do I clearly, plainly, with integrity say, this is, period, and stop, So this Queen of Swords energy is really bringing up either leadership qualities, if you find yourself in a situation where you're dealing with multiple people, or definitely even with the leadership qualities, right? Whether it's a group of people or whether it's a one-on-one interaction, there's something in here about self-mastery, and that informs the integrity of our leadership, of our ability to sort of make a decision, put a plan in action, whether we're inundated by other people's desires or ideas, that kind of thing. We can process all of that and say, okay, what's the best way forward with this project? So we're taking other people's into accounts. Like if we're all working on a creative project together or something, we're taking other people's views and skills and strengths and talents and ideas into account. And that really just expands the possibility of what is this thing that we're working on. We're being able to process that and then put forth, okay, this is our plan of action, and we're going to see how far this takes us. And if that doesn't work, we're going to, do this, that, the other thing, strategizing it, right, in order to move something forward. In another sense, again, it's about knowing where those boundaries are and sort of having our own personal behavioral protocol as to how to respond should anybody in the world happen to cross that boundary, right? We can't send out a memo to 8 billion people of act like this or behave like this whenever you happen to encounter me. It's more of like, this is who I am. I know where I stand. And I also know how to respond to other people if they cross this line or that line, or if they approach in this fashion or that fashion. So the energy today definitely has one to do with like being balanced, inwardly centered, grounded, and there's some kind of an opportunity to be processing what's going on around you and utilizing that integrity, that balancing the intellect and the intuition, in order to proceed or respond effectively, or it really has that era of being effective in how you communicate, effective in how you're working with others, effective in, how your decisions and the strategies in order to, move this inspiration or this idea forward is actually going to work out for you. So it's actually a really good, stable energy to be in. There's a self-assurance, and there's a certain amount of like, okay, I'm ready for this. It's a good thing. Let's go. Boom. You know what I mean? There seems to be a preparation, and it's coming, the internal preparation that you've done and holding yourself in that energy of integrity seems to be, again, there's effective action being taken, effective decisions and communications, effective strategies. And so interacting with others, whoever it might be, in order to, whether it's working on a project or ticking something off your to-do list or taking care of some discord that you might have in a one-on-one relationship, one way or the other, it's like the perfect energy for you to be that calm, centered, right? Now notice here too, the queen, not the king. So we've got that extra feminine energy while we are balancing and centering our masculine and feminine in terms of our intellect and our intuition and maybe our strategic planning and this, that, the other thing. She is a queen. So she does have, the Queen of Swords is probably one of the hardest queens, but she does have that feminine softness. She's receptive. She's receptive to new ideas. She's receptive to letting people speak and to, give their side of the story, or she's observant of how people are working together and what this is doing or that is doing. She observes others' reactions when she says something, you know what I mean? Or when she does something, she observes their reactions, and she can see, she can read people, she can read situations, she can also, see the effects of her influence on those energies. So she knows that what her thoughts and words and expressions do, she sees that and she understands that, and she's got enough integrity to take responsibility for that, but she also maintains her balance, and she's not going to take crap from anybody. So you could be in this energy of being both very strong and forthright, but without being pushy. There's a softness to it where somebody else knows that they can't mess with you, but at the same time, they don't necessarily have to be afraid of you, because you are receptive and you can validate, their perspective without yourself being invalidated, if that makes sense. Whereas the King of Swords, he usually feels way more intellectual and strategic, and almost like you can't see past the armor sometimes, to know what he's really thinking. He's very much of like the poker face. Whereas the Queen of Swords has enough softness and receptivity, and observance, and sort of quiet strength, that it invites you in just close enough to know that you are safe if you also act with integrity. So there's a bit of softness here. There's that quiet, she doesn't have to go screaming into battle kind of a thing. She can just stand on the hill and look at you, and you're like, okay. So this Queen of Swords energy, again, internally balancing the masculine and the feminine, externally having that air of strength and being receptive and being observant, and kind of trying to nurture honesty and good relationships and good communications and diplomacy. But at the same time, there's some things that, again, from the integrity within, that will be structured and defended according to, your own internal milieu. Yes. So lots of intuitive energy, lots of strength and integrity and honesty and communicative, and again, being effective and being comfortable with the flow, so to speak. I hope that made sense to everybody. Sometimes I get staring off out in the window and I keep hearing things, and I just kind of like rattle on. So with that being said, I wish you wonderful endeavors today. Lots of peace and blessings to you. And I definitely want to encourage, your own internal strength, your own internal balance and integrity, and that there's opportunities for that to be very effective in your dealings and interactions, and whatever it is that you have going on today. So take care of yourself, and remember to observe first and respond second. Lots of love, peace, and blessings to you. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.